In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a wooden votive with the xTool S1. In case you didn't realize it, this thing is only 20 watts right now, and while you can change the laser head out for a 40-watt version, I actually use the 20 watt for this. And I am indoors because this is fully enclosed and I have the air purification unit. As an added bonus, if you look down on the other side here, I do have a HEPA filter in the room to help kind of make it not smell like wood later, because even though it does cut wood and I have the purification unit here, you'll still smell a little bit of the wood that has burned unless you have something else circulating air. That said, it's not going to be anything that's going to harm you, it's just going to smell like a campfire was in here. Although I had to make some changes just to make this potato cat themed as a charity auction item, I will provide the link to the source Etsy file that I bought for this. I made my own modifications, which I will not be providing. As you can see inside, there is an electric votive candle that is battery powered. Please don't actually use real flames with this unless you want to pay a big insurance bill. For this project, I'm going to use a project size sheet of 3mm birch plywood. My cut settings are probably going to vary on whatever it is that you might use, but it may give you a starting point. If you want to know, I use 7mm per second for the speed and 60% power. Also, don't forget to turn on Air Assist on your cut layer and enable Air Assist in automatic mode so that it can manage itself. Air Assist is going to make everything cut a lot better and help prevent fires. The other thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have a honeycomb tray. This is the xTool honeycomb tray, specifically sized for the S1. Whenever you do any cutting, you should make sure that you have a honeycomb tray to put your materials on. If you don't, it's entirely possible that you could have a fire hazard on your hands when any smaller crumbs or pieces of plywood get hit with the laser on the bottom. To get started with the project, just go ahead and put your plywood inside on top of the honeycomb. I have a clean sheet here that I haven't used yet, and so I can actually line up the bottom here with the base of the ruler that's on the honeycomb tray, and then I can slide my laser unit over to where I need it to be in the top left corner. From there, all you're going to have to do is basically identify where the laser is located and line up your design in whichever software package you use. For me personally, I actually used Lightburn for this project, but you can use the xTool software as well, and that's all built in. Once I have everything lined up, I can actually tell it to go ahead and do some autofocusing, and it will use this little guy here to basically pop it down and then measure against a reference point off to the right side of the machine, and it'll figure out what your focus is. The focus is actually really important because if you don't have a correct focus, it's not going to cut well at all. In fact, it might not even be able to pass the laser beam through. So once you have everything loaded, you can just set the machine to cut by using the software to tell the laser what to do. Now, instead of taking one long clip of the entire cutting process and speeding it up, I'm going to show you what the actual speed looks like and see that it really isn't even that bad at 7mm per second. It feels like it would take a long time to finish the cut, but in actuality, it's really not that bad. It's also easier to see the amount of smoke being generated, suctioned out, and filtered through the air purification unit that I bought as an add-on to the machine. When it finishes cutting all of the pieces, gently remove them and lay them out to inspect the final results. Make sure you didn't miss any of the smaller pieces. They might have fallen through the crumb tray. After you removed all of the cut pieces, give yourself a pat on the back for minimizing material waste. Anything that's left here on the bottom and up in this corner here can be used for bookmarks, earrings, keychains, or other little tchotchkes. As you can see here, there's a lot of soot from the cutting process. You can adjust the settings to minimize it, mask the plywood before cutting, or just gently sand it off. All that said, I actually prefer to leave the soot and apply a stain. I feel like the soot adds a bit of depth to the design. The stain I'm using has a gloss polyurethane mixed in with it, so it gives a nice polished finish. I use these small disposable foam brushes since I don't have a sink in my workshop yet. If you opt to use these, bear in mind sometimes bits of the foam come off and stick to the stain. You'll want to pick those out of the stain before it dries. I only applied a thin coat of this North Sea wood stain by Behr. It's one of my favorite stains, followed shortly by their Mission Oak one. One thing to call out about painting or staining the pieces after they're cut is to make sure you don't super soak the holes for the smaller prongs. If you get globs of paint or stain into these holes, the prongs won't fit. Let the stain dry. Give it a light sanding with 2000 grit to bring out the polyurethane shine, and grab some wood glue. I prefer using the Gorilla wood glue. It dries clear and quickly to boot. I just put a little bit on a scrap of paper and use Q-tips to apply it. You don't need to drown the pieces in glue just to make them stick. From there, follow the instructions for assembly. Since this isn't my design file, I don't want to show those steps without the permission of the author. Again, their information is in the video's description below. And this is what it looks like when it's all assembled. You can see the prongs on the bottom of it, but I plan to put some cork down there to keep the Votive from skidding across the table and potentially scratching it. Drop a battery-powered tea candle in there and enjoy. As an added bonus, I found a dark spot in the house to record so you can see what it will look like at night. Now, if you want to add a bit of diffusion, you can glue a lightweight fabric, coffee filters, or printer paper to the back of each panel. Always test it before you glue it down, as too much thick material will block the light, not diffuse it. Even though I primarily work with fabrics and such because of my sewing habits, I do like to work with wood materials from time to time. There's just something primal with it that I can't get over. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments or questions below, and let me know if you have an xTool S1 and the kinds of things that you make with it. Show it off, join the Discord. Thank you very much.